Okay, so here's your problem of the day. Actually, let's do our essential question first. Essential question is the strategies that can be used to divide whole numbers. That was fun. So, like just what I was telling you about, this is the lesson, or this is the chapter about division, just like last chapter was about multiplying. So, the chapter about multiplying, we learned about a bunch of different tools. This chapter, we will also learn a bunch of different tools that you can't use with every question, but you should be able to use them with most of those questions. Here's your problem of the day. 3 numbers have a sum of 68. So we know so far that sum means the answer to an addition problem. And then 68 is going to be the answer, and there's going to be 3 numbers. The greatest of the 3 numbers is 3 greater than the least number. What are the numbers? So you have 3 numbers. Oops. That when you add them together, they're going to give you 68. The biggest number, let's say that this is going to be the greatest number, this will be the least. So the greatest number is 3 more than the least. So what? So they have to be in order, otherwise that wouldn't be a possibility, right? If this number were 3 more than this number, just like Aiden said, that must mean they have to be consecutive, all in order. So, because if this number is 10, that would make this number 3 less. You're wrong. I'm wrong. That would have to be 7. So then your number in between could be either an 8 or a 9. So you're going to have a choice of 2 numbers in the middle. So, well, it's because it's the greatest number and the least number. So if the greatest number is 10 and the least number is 3 less than that, right, then the least number would be 7. So then your middle number has to be no bigger than 10, no less than 7. So that would be either 8 or 9. Right. So think of 3 numbers that follow that criteria. I would go with this plan of having these dashes here, because it kind of helps you to kind of set the problem up so that you don't get confused. You have to have 3 numbers. They have to equal 68. This is guess and check, isn't it? Because you're going to have to think of something first. And then if that doesn't work, you need to erase it and pick something else. So try it by yourself first, and then I'll have you kind of share some things with people around you. So try it by yourself. Notice lots of different strategies as I walked around and listened to you talking about it with your group. Some people started with a number 60. I saw a lot of people who started with the number 60. If you really read the directions, 60 would not be a possible number to start with, because you're trying to get to 68. And the biggest and the smallest were only 3 apart. So here's what listen. Here's what I saw. I saw some 60 plus 5 plus 1, or 60 plus 3 plus 3, things like that. That gives you 60 plus 3 plus 5. Some people were trying to think of 3 numbers that could get you to 68, but those 3 numbers didn't actually follow the rules up here. So if you're trying to get to 68 and there's 3 numbers, here's something that you should be thinking about. I'm going to do like an estimate. 20 plus 20 plus 20 gives me 60, right? Yeah. So, but what the number I'm looking for is 68. So that means my numbers are going to have to be a little bit bigger than 20, because I'm looking for a little bit more than 60.
One of them is
so the biggest number that we have here as our answer is 24. 3 less than that is 21, and then the number in the middle is 23.
She's copying off us.
So 20, 20, and 20 gives you 60. Then when you add up the other parts, that gives you 8, so that would be 68. So,
Miss Mateo, I did it. Sean gave me the answer.
okay. So listen, keep listening. Okay, listen the whole time. It just kind of gives you a starting point, so that you don't start with like 10 and 13 as your greatest and your least, or you don't want to start with numbers that are too big, like 50 and 53 as your greatest and your least. Doing kind of an estimate in your head is going to help you. And that's, we've learned estimates before. So estimates is a good way to get a good starting point, especially when you're using guess and check. All right.
I did it all by myself with help from Sean. All by myself. Answer.
Oh, wait. I can't talk over all these. There's a lot of voices to talk over. Okay, so I want you to look. This is your first page. We don't do a lot of notes today because we're doing some drawing things, and there's not a lot of notes for me to show you. So I want you to look over at your first page, which is page 163. Page 163. It's the Build It page. And then I want to show you something that your device can do. Okay, so after we're finished with the lesson and we get through all the pages, I want to show you on your device a way that you can use the manipulatives on your device. So if you go to Connect Ed, this is where I am to get all these slides from. You will find a place where you could use virtual manipulatives. So I'll show those to you at the end. The same way we got to those quizzes the other day, where you went into the lesson number and then you clicked on the side like resources. There's one that's going to be virtual manipulatives. When you click on that, remember last week when I used all those counters and I pulled the counters in from the side and I used those to help us make the arrays and stuff that you guys were telling me about? So you can do that, but with these little blocks. So some of the manipulatives would be these blocks that you can break apart and you can separate them and then you can put them where they're supposed to go. So I'll show you once we finish with the pages here. On your assignment today, you have to do some drawing. You have to draw these, but the manipulatives on your device could help you. You can do it on your screen first, and then you could always draw your final answer on your paper. So sometimes that helps to move the manipulatives around on your screen, and then whatever your final answer looks like, you just copy it down onto your paper. So I'll show you that at the end of this. This question says, in art class, 3 students share 48 markers evenly. How many markers will each student have? So we're going to model 48 using the base 10 blocks. So when you get 10 of the 1 blocks, then we click them together because now we have 10 of them together. So every time you get a set of 10, that would be considered the next one up. So the little blocks that are separate are the ones. And then once we put 10, then it's the longs. Longs are the next ones. And then you'll have, when you have 100 together, then you'll have a grid of 100. So it kind of makes a square. It's a 10 by 10 square. So we're going to divide the 10s into 3 equal groups. So on your paper, on the side, see where it says my drawing? I want you to use that little box and we're going to draw some things. So you're going to model the 48 using the base 10 blocks. So because you have 3 students, we're going to draw 3 circles. So the 3 circles represent the 3 students who will be given the markers. Then I'm going to take these 48 base 10 blocks and I'm going to separate them into the 3 circles. So I'm going to start with the biggest that I can do, which is 10 this time. So I have 4 sets of 10 here. So I can take this 10 and I can put it here. And I'm just going to draw it like along like that.
Is that what we're allowed to do?
Yes. You don't really need to do 10 little ones. Just do one. That means 10. Then I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put it here. Then I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put it here.
Oh, I did this before.
Now I have that extra long. Do you see this one right here? I'm drawing an arrow to it so you can see it. I have that one that I haven't passed out yet. Because they have to be even, I have to take that and now I have to bust it up into ones. So that's regrouping. That's what you're doing when you're regrouping. You know when you're doing a subtraction problem and you have to borrow? You're regrouping. And this is what we're doing when we're regrouping. So we're taking this And instead of this, it's going to be this. I'm going to draw them as little X's down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that changed into that. So I can't take a whole long and put it there because I'm only dividing them amongst 3 people and they have to be even. We're trying to make them even. So I can't take a long and put it into this circle because if I did, these 2 are going to be jealous because they don't have one too. So now I took that long and I broke it up into 10. Plus I have these ones right here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now I have 18 total ones that now I can go through and start separating into those 3 circles. I'm glad you said that. That's part of what we're going to talk about next. Let's go through and put them in here first. So we have 18. So I'm going to go by ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 18. So I passed 1 out to each person until I got to 18. Now I've used these and these. So now I've passed everything out. And so now I have 1 long, which equals 10, and I have 6 ones, which equals 6. So that means that each person would get 16 markers. 1 for the 10s and 6 ones. So Aiden was saying that since he knew that there was 18 left, he knew that 18 divided by 3 is 6. So he knew that he could put that 6 would fit into each of those. And you may have known that ahead of time too, and that's good. What we're doing today though is the pictures, being able to show the models of what you're doing. So this would be you showing your pictures here, like what we did at the bottom. So for the reason why I told you about the manipulatives on ConnectEd is because you know how we had to take this one and break it apart? On ConnectEd, you can pull out the longs that you need, like you pull out everything that you need, and then if you're going to break one up, you just have to push this little button and it'll break up on its own. And then you can drag them into the circles that you've drawn. Then you can just draw your circles onto your paper. You do have to draw yes, you have to draw your own circles on the screen. You're using like your finger, and then you're dragging and dropping. Okay, so on the next little part here, let me erase this. Oop. So we regrouped the remaining 10 blocks into ones. So there, we talked about it, but we didn't fill in the block. There was 18 ones, because there was 8 ones to start with, and then we broke up that 10s, which made it 18. So that goes in number 3. Then when we get to number 4, dividing the ones into 3 equal groups. So each group has 6 ones. Each group has 1 10 and 6 ones, which makes 16. So each person gets 16 markers. Okay, now turn to the next one. We're going to use try it really quick.
Not try it.
So we have 56 divided by 5. All you had to do was flip your paper over. 56 divided by 5. So we've modeled the 56 using base 10 blocks. So there's 5 longs and there's 6 ones. And then we're going to divide it into we're going to have 5 circles. What they've done here on number 2 is they just divided it into 5 groups. You can do that, but if you actually do the drawing piece, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're going to have a 1 in each group because the number was 56. So there's 5. Because the circles help to keep everything separate. And how did I know that I needed to draw 5 circles? How did I know, Nolan?
Because it says 56 divided by 5, and then it says Divide the 10s into 5 equal groups.
So,
Circle the groups of 10s.
right. So on your paper was a little different. So on your paper, if you want it, but see, they do give you a space for your drawing parts. So they they want you to take each of those 10s and separate them into the circles. And then we're going to take the 1s and we're going to start to separate the 1s into the circles. So there's 6 1s all together. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I have one more. I can't go back and put that one more into one of these other circles because all the circles have to have an even number inside of them. So if one has, they will be very jealous. So if one has 11, they all have to have 11.
They do.
And now there's a leftover of 1. This one right here.
Remainder 1.
That's in its own little area. So there's 1 left over. Each group has 1 10 and 1 1. So there are 11 in each group with 1 left over. Maybe I'll draw this leftover. I shouldn't probably draw it in a circle. That might look confusing to you. I'll just leave it like that. So that's like a remainder. So 56 divided by 5 is 11 remainder 1. That's the answer. Yes, it's 11 remainder 1. It is a remainder. When you're probably just used to writing out the problem and doing the dividing, we're doing the pictures so that you can see what we're doing. There's a reason for it. When we start to divide with fractions, when we start to divide with decimals, which we do in 5th grade, this method will help you understand exactly what it is that you're doing. So I know it seems like it's easier now because when you first learned how to divide, like in 3rd grade, you did it like this with the circles and you moved blocks around and stuff like that. So, but now we're doing it now in this lesson because it's going to help you for future lessons, like when we have harder numbers like decimals and fractions. So, hold on. I'll answer your question in 1 second. I'm thinking it's more of a comment than a question.
It is a comment.
Okay, I could read your mind. So I'll get your comment in a second. I'm going to show you. Go ahead. Let's talk about it. We could do that one together. So if we have 32 divided by 3 using base 10 blocks, the question is, will there be any left over?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I have, okay, you guys are saying yes. How do you know yes?
Because 3 can't go into 32 evenly.
33 cannot go into 32 evenly.
By 3 is
10
10 remainder 2.
So you're going to have some remainders. So these guys already know, you had your hand up too, that if you're dividing 3 into 32, it's not going to go evenly. So you already know it's going to have a remainder because you're already familiar with the fact family maybe of division, and you know that it's either going to be 30 divided by 3 would give you 10, and 33 divided by 3 would give you 11. And now that if the number's 32, you're going to have some leftovers. So we can draw this out just to show. If I have 3 and I have 32, just try to draw it on the side if you can. Okay, then don't draw it. All I'm drawing is this. There's each of these ones, each of these longs go into the circle. These 2 are your remainders.
When you put an X over the 10s, it looks confusing.
It looks like you're drawing like a number line.
Well, I'm taking the... I know you guys wait for that to happen. Yes. Okay, I'm going to show you the manipulatives, so hang on 1 second. You all just watched me get to this point. So I went to the resource tab on the side. Nobody's going to open their device yet, but I'm just going to show you how to use it. So you go to your resource tab. Then you'll click on, you'll let it open up chapter 3, lesson 2, which is the lesson that we're on. Tools is the one that's going to pull up the manipulatives. So tools looks like a triangle, a circle, and a square, and they're green little shapes. And if you click on that, it'll pull up a screen that will look like this one. So we're using base 10 blocks. You aren't going to use the 1,000 block in today's assignment. Basically, the base 10 blocks are used for all of the lessons where you could possibly use a base 10 block, and you use the same screen for all of those. So we're going to do the practice it, the first one on practice it, number 2, 44 divided by 4. So here's how you could use, if you chose to use your device for this, you can, and this is how you would do it. You have to have your pen first. Since the question is 44 divided by 4, this 4 means I need 4 circles. Then you need your hand tool so that you can pull out 44 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you need 4 of these ones. They're never ending. See how they never disappear? You always have as many as you need. And then we can start taking these and we can put them inside of each of the circles. So we just drag and drop them over the circles like that. So how many went in each circle? 11. You had one long and a 1. So your answer would be 11. So now you can take what you've done on this screen and you can transfer it over to your paper. So you can take, your paper should have now on number 2, your paper should have 4 circles. You should be drawing this. I'm doing one of the questions with you. This is number 2 on your practice it. So you should have the 4 circles drawn, and then you put 1 long into each of the circles and 1 into each of the circles. I purposely said we're going to look at number 2 before I did this. I knew that was number 2. And so the question says how many are in each group would be 11. And are there any leftovers? If so, how many? You would just write no because there are no leftovers. Or you could do a 0. It said, are there any leftovers? So you could put no, or you can write 0.
Yeah.
I want to show you another one. This time I'm going to show you number 4. So you can clear the screen. Down here at the bottom, see where it says clear objects? If you push that, then everything goes away. That was this button right here with all the little manipulative blocks. Okay, so look at number 4. I'm going to use my pen again. Number 4 says 32 divided by 5. So look at number 4. You're drawing this in. I should have 5 circles. Number 4, the question is 32 divided by 5. Now the last one, it wasn't such a big deal because we didn't have to break apart any of the ones. This is what I wanted to show you this for. Keep listening. Now I'm going to take the hand tool and I'm going to pull out 32 blocks. Maybe. There we go. 10, 20, 30, 2. Now if I go to start, if I start to put the longs in there into the 5 slots, will I have enough longs?
No.
I don't.
Yes.
So because I need 5 longs in order for each of those circles to get one. And I only have 3. So if I started passing them out, there's not going to be enough. So what I need to do is break apart those longs. If you were drawing this on your paper, you would have to draw 32 like this, like 3 longs and 2 squares. And then you would have to show how you took the longs and you broke them apart. If you use your device, it will do it for you. So down here, there's this little button down here. Do you see where I'm looking? If you push it, they all break apart. And they all break apart, and they all break apart. Now I can take those and I can start separating them into the circles. I had to break them all apart. You can, but you have to go like this.
You have to put them together yourself.
You have to go put them back together yourself.
And it takes a long time. Sometimes you can put them above each other and on each other, and then it doesn't work the best.
Correct. So you have to be careful with that. So now I'm gonna put 1 in each of these. And you see how maybe drawing it might be made easier by using your device. That's okay. I could still count them. Now I'm going through each one and if you chose to use your device on this, you wouldn't, oops, I skipped one. If you chose to use your device on this, You don't have to draw anything till the very end. That's what I'm telling you is why it would be a little bit easier to use your device. So now I have those two leftover ones. So now on my paper, I can look at my screen and I can draw what I just did on here, and I don't have to try to move everything around. So you can move everything around first on the manipulative here on the screen, and then now that you're finished, you could just draw this for number 4. So the question on number 4 asks, how many are in each group? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in each group, and you can double check that you didn't mess up. There's 6 in every group. And then there's 2 leftovers. So the answer on this one would be 6 remainder 2. There's not 10 in a group, though. There's not 10 in a group. There's 6 in a group.
How come you gave us Twisted Potato?
Hold on. I'm making sure he's understanding what I'm saying. I had to take...
I got 10 numerous. We got 2.
Okay, hold on. Let's see how he did that. There were only 3 10s. So how did you stretch it and make that go into 5 of the circles if there was only 3 10s to start with? The number is only 32. There's only 3 10s. Okay. If it was 52, then you could fit a 10 in each one and you would have 2 left over.
That'd be so much easier.
But it's only 32, so you have to break those up. So do you see how using the manipulatives on here may help you? So if you don't want to use the virtual manipulatives here, then you don't have to. If you would like to, then you could open up your device and go to Connect Ed and you can try it.
Right now?
Maybe if you want to do it on paper first, then you want to go back and check your answers or just see how the manipulatives work. You still have 20 minutes, the same amount of time that we always have. So sometimes getting started on Connect Ed and using some of your time for the manipulatives might take up some of your time. So don't spend too much time doing that if you're not sure how to do it. If you don't want to use the manipulatives on Connect Ed, you don't have to. It's up to you.
I like to bounce.